Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MC Commute. My name's Zack and I'm going to ride to my office. Today's show is brought to you in part by Sena Bluetooth, makers of the new Momentum helmet with integrated Bluetooth technology for an unrivaled audio experience. Sena is a supporter of MC Commute, so to learn more about its products, go to sena.com or click on the link in the description of this video. On today's show, we've got KTM's 390 Duke. This is the littlest Duke we get here in the US of A. There's a 690 Duke, 790 Duke, and of course the 1290 Super Duke. And this bike kind of looks like a 1290 Super Duke, doesn't it? That's not an accident, of course. Inside you get a 373cc single and some pretty cool tech, which we'll talk about in addition to its other brethren in the Husqvarna line and so forth. So we got a lot to talk about. We should really get going. Okay, dokie, 390 Duke. What do we got? We got a 320 millimeter front brake rotor. That's basically the same setup from the RC390, 43 millimeter upside down WP fork. Also familiar. Trellis frame, progressive rate shock, this cool webbed swing arm, which, yeah, all sort of RC390 stuff, but obviously the 390 Duke has got a little bit different style about it, right? One thing I think they did a great job with is this headlight situation. The LED headlight, it looks a lot like a little tiny 1290 Super Duke, doesn't it? I think they did a pretty good job with that myself. And we are ready to race to the office. Ready to go. Okay. Coolio. Let's ride. So 390 Duke in the end is an evolution kind of the original Duke from way back when. Was it like the 90s or something? I don't remember that weird sort of bug eye thing. It was a 640, I think, was the original Duke, and then there was a Duke 2. I don't know, that's all sort of reaching back into the cobwebs of my brain. But at any rate, this little 390 engine came out in 2015, I think. I think I might have ridden the RC390 in 2014, but it was a 2015 model if memory serves. It is a 373cc single. Yeah, and pretty basic architecture. Nothing too fancy in there. And of course it mates with the 690 Duke, which is a 693cc maybe single. And then you got your 790 Duke, which is basically an 800 parallel twin. And then you get your 1290 Super Duke, which is of course that 75 degree 1301cc V-twin. So it's a pretty nice spread KTM's got, I think. And they're all potent in their own way. I think the 390 Duke really has the biggest shoes to fill in a lot of ways, because living up to the Duke name in this day and age means being pretty spunky. So I guess we're gonna find out just how spunky it is. So structurally, the 390 changed a bit in that update that they did recently. What is it? I think the wheelbase got shorter and it got a little bit less trail, and what was the other thing that happened? Oh yeah, the seat height went up. The seat height went up from 31.5 to 32.7 maybe, something like that, which is pretty significant, especially for a bike like this, right? Because you think that they would want to make sure that it's approachable. But I think it's interesting that the seat height went up and they sort of squeezed the whole chassis a little bit, and tried to make it even more pointy and agile, which it didn't necessarily need, but I have to say this one feels pretty good. As far as ergonomics go, I think it is a stellar little bike. Someone on the Instagram, one of the many questions I got on social media about this bike was, will it fit someone 5 feet tall? I wasn't able to find anyone that was 5 feet even, but I talked to a girl in my office who's 5'3", and she's ridden the previous Duke, the previous 390 Duke, as well as throwing a leg over this one. And yeah, she said that at 5'3", she still feels pretty comfortable with the size of it, the weight of it. So that's saying a lot. And I think what KTM was probably trying to do there by changing the ergonomics a little bit, raising the seat, they put the pegs back a little bit and up a little bit, I think, just made it like slightly more aggressive, is probably to help people not outgrow the bike while they're while they're riding it. They don't want people to say, oh man, I really need a 690 after 6 months with the 390 or something like that. So props to KTM for having that in mind. And as far as fitting riders over 6 feet tall, I'm 6'2", and I think it fits me really, really nicely. I like it. I'm amazed actually that I don't think that the seat's too low or that it feels too small. It's actually just really comfortable. I like the reach to the bar, and I like the seat to peg ratio, and obviously the seat height is not too tall for me. But I think it's saying a lot that it doesn't feel cramped, considering it's a small motorcycle. There's no time really too soon or too late to talk about the elephant in the room with KTM 390s, which is reliability and I don't know, the engine's got a bad reputation for overheating and yeah, just being generally a little bit unruly. RC390s had troubles with the clutch. I haven't actually seen anything that KTM's put out to say that they've addressed these issues exactly. I kind of can't imagine that internally they wouldn't have tried to address the head gasket issues or clutch issues, or just sort of overheating in general. But yeah, that's one of those tricky consumer things that we all have to face when we buy a bike. Yeah, a little power wheelie in first gear. That's pretty good for a small bike like this. We'll hopefully get a chance to experiment with some more wheelies later. But yeah, I think one of the main reasons that it wheelies in first gear is that it's geared super low, which we can experiment with once we shoot away from this light here. Crap. So here I'm going 50 miles an hour, 55, something like that. Yeah, 50. And I'm in 6th gear, and it feels pretty comfortable. So I would gear this bike up, probably geared a little short so that it has a little more roll-on power on the freeway in top gear. And again, probably has something to do with approachability, because it's nice and easy to get going. Super light clutch. It's also adjustable levers on this bike, which I think is pretty keen. So you can adjust the clutch and brake lever to suit your hand size. That's a really nice feature for a bike in this category. I find the clutch and transmission pretty good on this bike. The clutch doesn't have a ton of feel, I don't think. I struggle a little bit with that. The transmission is nice and light, really easy to change gears, and I like that about it. It's just, again, there's not a ton of feel. I don't get a lot of I don't know, it doesn't feel real positive when it changes. Sometimes I have some questions about whether or not I made it into the next gear. But again, really not worth making a federal case about, considering the price point and category of the bike. In general, it feels pretty KTM. Nice light shifting and a light clutch, which is nice. I'm struck by how comfortable this bike is. I've been riding it for a little while now, and every now and then I just kind of have this feeling that washes over me, like it's a small bike, but just the size, the riding position, it's so comfortable. Okay, now that we're out on the freeway, flying along here at California freeway speeds, I'll say that this bike is pretty good at this kind of thing. Obviously no wind protection, so you got to lean forward into the wind, which is, yeah, something you just got to deal with making bikes. Another Instagram question I got was whether or not the bike's buzzy.
I don't find it to be particularly buzzy. I think the handlebar, especially the grips, are pretty smooth at this speed. I'm usually impressed with that. I do get a little bit of vibes in the pegs at freeway speed, but it's not bad. I think especially with a 1/2 larger countershaft sprocket, you'd really find yourself with a pretty good little touring bike, you know? I mean, you wouldn't want to ride all day at 80 miles an hour. That's not really what this bike's for. But could you ride, you know, along the freeway for hours on end and then go through some twisties, have some soft luggage on it? Absolutely. Another question I got was about the mirrors. Someone said, I think someone commented and said that the mirrors on their bike are really buzzy and they feel like they can't see anything, which I don't agree with, actually. I think the mirrors are pretty good, especially at 65, 70 miles an hour. Really not bad at all. I don't love the placement, if I'm honest. I sort of feel like I had to rock them forward a little bit. So they almost feel like they're to the side of your head. But in general, pretty good. I also don't know why they have the little condom on there. Seems like just a piece of metal would be fine. That's how the big bikes work, right? Whatever. A clean run at the off-ramp. That almost never happens. All right, baby Duke, what you got? Yeah. It's so stable. It feels so good. What a nice little bike this is. Man, so nice. I kind of can't imagine getting an RC390 instead of this. You know, one thing we really have not talked about very much at all is this big, beautiful TFT screen that the 390 Duke has, which is worth noting. I mean, there's no other bikes in the category, I don't think, with... I mean, it's pretty cool. There's little shortcuts. You can hit an up and down button, get you to shortcuts. You can link it to your phone and play music. You can go into the settings. Whoops, what is it? Motorcycle. There you go. And you can go to Supermoto ABS. I mean, why would you want to do that? Well, we'll just put it in Supermoto ABS in case we find a reason to use it. Oh man, freaking motorcycle didn't trigger the light. I'm stuck here. Stuck here just making more comments about the dash. Man. What else does the dash do? I kind of like the, you know, the analog tack thingamajig that it does. I think that's pretty cool. Oh my God. I'm literally going to sit at this light all day. I need someone behind me. Someone help. Yeah, there we go. We got a Kia. They're going to trigger the signal for us. And we'll be free. But anyway, yeah, the dash is pretty impressive. I mean, it's basically the same TFT dash from some of KTM's big bikes, so it's pretty impressive. Yeah, green light. That little 390 gets it too. It's pretty cool. People with good hearing, or maybe people that were just looking for it in the first place, might have heard the radiator fan kick on at the light there. That's something that people have really clung on to because it's kind of a loud radiator fan. When my dad rode this bike, he noticed it too. He always thought the fan was kind of loud, and obviously with the bike have trouble overheating and all those issues we talked about before. That's sort of like a red flag to people. No. When a radiator fan comes on, I don't know, I usually think, yeah, well, you know, that's what radiator fans do. So another question I got was this or a Ninja 400? And that's a good question. That's a good question. I think, if memory serves, price on the 390 Duke is $5,300, which I think is right around how much it costs to get a Ninja 400 with ABS. And that's, yeah, that would be a real tough call. What I want to say is, hey, you know, they're both pretty cheap, so just get both. But that probably doesn't really make sense. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really drawn to naked bikes, and I think I could have a ton of fun on a racetrack on this thing. Yeah, and I do prefer this to the RC390. I prefer the Ninja 400 to the RC390. I don't know, team. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to answer that question. I know it's really disappointing, but I don't know what I would do. I'm not sure. God, that's so tough. Well, the good news is I don't have to make that decision. But if you're out there trying to choose, I guess I'm sorry that I couldn't give you better direction. They're both super fun. They're both super cool. I like the KTM's features. I like the TFT dash. I like that you can manipulate a lot of the settings and, I don't know, link it to your phone and stuff like that. I think that's cool. I think that's cool stuff. The Ninja, there's no question, it has a longer and better reputation, and that's worth a lot. So, me no, man. But really, to the really important questions now. Can you back it in? Yeah, it's got that Supermoto ABS, applesauce, and it's a wheelie monster. Look at it go. Must have been taking lessons from its big brother, the 1290. It's not as good at wheelies as its big brother Dukes, but it's pretty darn good. Scared the crap out of that guy. Sorry, friend. Yeah, so let's see. We talked about price, we talked about ergos, we talked about the engine, we talked about lineage, we talked about the dash, we talked about the features. This is sometimes where I spool it up. I'm not going to be able to spool it up on this bike. Not enough HPs. So I'm really positive on the 390 Duke, in part because it's a small bike, and small bikes are super fun. I was wide open for a lot of this commute, and that just wouldn't have been the same on a bike with a lot of horsepower. So I kind of appreciate that about the little Duke. Pretty fun. Take a listen to the engine. It has that same kind of tone in the exhaust. That it's like, let's do wheelies, let's slide everywhere, let's do stuff. It kind of sounds like a little motocrosser or something, right? Oh yeah, pretty cool bike. Pretty cool bike, I think. So there you have it, 390 Duke on the daily commute. I really hope I answered all your questions. If not, I saved some of them, so let's just run through real quick here. Can you back it in? Covered it. How bad is it on the highway? Not that bad. We talked about that. This with the RC390, covered it. How soon won't outgrow it? Kind of covered that. I think you'd have fun with it for a long time. How much does it feel like a V-twin? It doesn't feel like a V-twin. I mean, yeah, you know, obviously a little single like this has torque and it's fun, but no, it doesn't feel like a V-twin. Is it vibey? No, not really. Would you take this or the comparable Husqvarna? Yep, that's a good question. So I've ridden the little Svartpillen 401 and it was really fun. But I kind of dig the futuristic looks of this thing. The dash is way better on this than it is on a Svartpillen. That's got that chintzy circular dash that I don't like at all. Plus this is cheaper. So I don't know. I get that the Svartpillen's hip, but I don't know. I guess I'm just a sort of naked bike guy, and I don't mind. I like this bike. I think it's cool. Would a 6'4" rider be too big? No, I don't think so. Although you might look a little silly on it, so keep that in mind. Is it stable at high speed? Yes. Is the suspension supple? Okay, that's a good question. We didn't really talk about that. I think the suspension's pretty balanced. I like it. Did you find the mirrors too wide for lane splitting? Nope, I didn't. You know, a little wider than a bike with clip-ons maybe, but I don't know. I thought it was okay. Is that it? What else we got? Oh, geez. Well, I probably missed something, but anywho. Fun little bike and a fun little commute, I think. So I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, check back next time for more commutes on more bikes, and check out the description of this video for specs on this machine and more information on the sponsors of this show. Thanks again for watching, everybody. See ya.